Think about the device you're watching this on right now. Your car, the medicine you might take. What if the power to make all of that was also a weapon? Well, that's the invisible battlefield of the global supply chain. Today, we're digging into the critical leverage China holds over the US, and we're going to use the super sharp analysis of Anduril's founder, Palmer Luckey, as our guide.
This quote from Luckey really just cuts right to the chase. When he says it's hard to make deals, he's not talking about some tough business negotiation. No, he's pointing to a fundamental power imbalance, where one side is basically holding all the cards. And that affects everything from the price of a TV to, seriously, matters of national security.
So, where does all this leverage come from? It's not about how many ships are crossing the Pacific. The real answer is buried deep, deep inside the blueprint of modern manufacturing, in the very components and raw materials that build our world.
All right, so let's start by breaking down the economic reality of China's leverage.
This is the absolute core of the issue. It's not just about trade deficits, it's about dependency. Think of it like this. It's not that you just buy your morning coffee from your neighbor. It's that your neighbor is the only person on the entire planet with access to water. That's the kind of fundamental, totally uneven power we're talking about here.
Okay, so let's dive into this dependency dilemma and really pinpoint where the specific vulnerabilities are.
Dependency can feel like this big, abstract word. So what does it actually look like on the ground? Where are the real-world pressure points?
And here they are. And look, we're not talking about toys or t-shirts. This is the foundational stuff. Rare earth elements, for example, they aren't just for iPhones. They're absolutely critical for missile guidance systems. Semiconductors, or chips, are the brains inside literally every single piece of modern electronics. And the dependency, it runs deep, all the way down to the very chemicals and machines that make manufacturing even possible.
This is such a crucial distinction to make. The weak link isn't the final assembly line, it's the entire chain. So you might build a fighter jet right here in America, but if the specialized drill press that shapes the body or a key chemical for the composite material comes from China, you're still vulnerable. The dependency is on the process itself.
So, if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, according to Luckey, it's a pretty bold one. It's time to reindustrialize. Now, reindustrialization isn't about bringing back old, rusty factories. It's a strategic move to build our own domestic capacity for the technologies of the future. The goal isn't just to be less vulnerable, but to actually reclaim technological leadership and control over your own destiny.
And here's Luckey's argument in his own words. If you want to shift the balance of power, you have to control the fundamental building blocks of the modern economy yourself. It's really that simple.
But, what does this actually look like in practice? Let's take Anduril's China-free strategy as a kind of case study. For Anduril, this isn't some theoretical choice. It's their forced reality. See, Luckey and his company are personally sanctioned by China, so their hand has been forced. They must build a supply chain that's completely independent of China, pretty much just to survive.
So how do you actually do it? Well, the first step is this painstaking audit. Identifying every single dependency, right down to the last screw and chemical. Then comes the hard part, what Luckey calls aggressive moves to pivot, which can mean anything from funding a brand new supplier to basically inventing a new process from scratch. The final goal is a resilient supply chain, totally firewalled within the US and its allied nations.
This really lays out the two competing mindsets. So much of the economy treats dependency like it's a chronic illness you just have to manage. But Anduril, they treat it like an active threat that has to be surgically removed. It's the difference between just living with a problem and actually solving it. And this is maybe the most sobering point of all. Luckey is confident in his own company's strategy, sure, but he's sounding the alarm about everyone else. His concern isn't for Anduril, it's for the wider US economy and even other defense firms that haven't made this pivot yet.
And that leaves us with the final massive question. Anduril is proving it's possible for one company to unplug. But can an entire economy, this complex web of industries built over decades, do the same? Can you really disconnect the wires from your biggest supplier without the whole system just shutting down? That's the challenge right at the heart of our modern world.